Sounds like you resent them.
They're only after me now because of two reasons. One, because being black is valuable, and two, donations.
Therapy taught me how to open up. It also told me I don't give a, you can't say that word, it's early in a YouTube video. But that's Kendrick Lamar on the Clip's 2005 single, Chains and Whips. Therapy speak, he's a narcissist. My ex gaslit me. My therapist wasn't holding me accountable. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time in the last couple of years, mainly the 2020s, you've heard one of, if not all of this. It seems for this generation, therapy is the new nihilism. The music, movies, TV shows, the yappers on TikTok, and real relationships are obsessed with it. But is anyone actually healing? Is anyone actually getting better? Or are we all going just to feel better about being selfish, horrible people? Sopranos, the show that normalized the idea of the strong masculine character, in this version, Tony Soprano, spent 5 seasons going to therapy. And as the series went on, he just became more extreme in his violent behavior, while mastering mental gymnastics like a fat Italian Simone Biles. Which brings us to Atlanta, Season 4, Episode 2, The Homeliest Little Horse. By the way, I'm John Lewis, Hero Beats on the track, Detroit. What up, though? The episode starts off with the Karen of this episode watching Lion-O from Odd Future. Also, shout out to Lion-O, he's killing it on The Bear. This last season of The Bear, I'm not into it. It kind of lost me, but anyway. So anyway, she goes on her email, and this is something I didn't notice on the first rewatch. It actually CC's Tracy. If you all have seen the show before, you'll know who Tracy is, but we'll see him in a few minutes.
Therapy.
See how rich I'm making you?
Bye, Alfred. I'll talk to you later.
Hold on. Wait, so you rich? Hey, Dave.
We didn't see Paperboy trying to get into his gamer tag. He's locked out, so he called his cousin Earn. Turns out the password was Happy Feet. And little things like this, it just shows us how close Earn and Paperboy were before Paperboy's mom died. But also it's a flashback from season 3 episode showing that they went to middle school together. And early season 1, Paperboy talks about he hadn't seen Earn in, I think he said 5 years, I can't remember, but since his mom's funeral, and that's when Earn shows back up in his life. But anyway, we see Paperboy joking on Earn for going to therapy. From Paperboy's perspective, going to therapy is some rich nigga shit, you just giving people money. And as therapy has become more and more accepted in the black community, you don't hear this as much, but there are still a lot of black people like Paperboy who feel like therapy is a waste of money.
Probation, Princeton.
Right. Really is getting a sense of sorry.
Then in the next scene, we learn a few things. We find out that Earn is finally off probation, and that's from the season 1 premiere. So this is all the way in season 5. I forget how many years they jumped, but if it's real time, I think it might have been like 6 years or so. And Earn's alma mater wants him to come back. He went to Princeton, but he dropped out. For what reason, we never find out, but in this episode, we do find out. But through this whole time, Earn is distracted. He's on his phone responding to texts. And obviously, that's something that you can't do in therapy. So his black therapist persuades him to put up his phone.
They say I'm healthy. They think I'm lying.
Do you have reason to think they don't believe you?
If they did it to Kim Porter, they'll do it to me. I had to get a second opinion.
Then we get into why I feel like this is one of the better episodes of the show, and also why a show like Atlanta is so important. It balances comedy, which this episode eventually does get into, but serious points also. Earn has chest and arm pains, and he says that the doctors didn't believe him, at least his first doctor. He had to go to another one, and they put him on the EKG machine, and he feels like they still don't believe him there. He believes that they believe that he's faking it. And he mentions that it happened to Kim Porter. If you all don't know about Kim Porter, she was the mother of Puff Daddy's, or P. Diddy as you all know him, first couple children. And she passed away to, I want to say it was pneumonia, I can't remember, but pretty much it was something preventable, and the doctors didn't take her serious when she first started to go, and eventually it got there. And this is a whole thing with black people, but specifically black women in the medical industry. Black women statistically have the highest rate of death when giving birth. Just when black people in general go to the hospital, we feel like we're not listened to. There's still this myth that black people have a higher pain tolerance. They don't want to give us pain medicine. They either think we don't need it or it's going to be abused. And we see Earn is going through all this while also having panic attacks and possible anxiety, but he feels like he doesn't have anything to be anxious about. So it's interesting that they put all of this in there in a comedy episode, that they were able to sprinkle in the ideas of, you know, how black people feel going to the doctor and what happens when they actually do go. But anyway, he talks about moving out of state to LA for a creative consultant job. And he hasn't told Van yet, who's his baby mom and on again, off again girlfriend. Go back and watch episode 1 of this breakdown, season 4, episode 1, if you all haven't. I talk about their relationship a lot more in that. But he's worried that if Van doesn't decide to go with him, obviously Van and his daughter Lottie would stay in Atlanta. And he's just curious and worried about how that relationship would affect him. Then the next scene we jump to, for the first time in the series, a do-ragless Tracy working in the book office for the lady's book agent. They want to find the Karen from earlier, a publisher for her kids' book, and set up a story time reading for her. So far we don't know what's going on with this lady, but you can just tell she's an annoying person. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like it's like a black sixth sense, but you can just tell she's a nosy, annoying person.
They're only after me now because of 2 reasons. 1, because being black is valuable, and 2, donations.
Right. You know, you've alluded to it, but what exactly happened to you at Princeton?
We then jump back to the scenes with Earn and his therapist, and his therapist asks him a question of, who do you trust? And Earn responds with something like, I trust people to be themselves. So his therapist says, so you don't trust anyone? Earn says, maybe Darius. And if you all follow the show, you know why. Darius is whatever the opposite of an enigma is. He just says whatever is on his mind. He's like the free spirit hipster tweaker of the show in a sense. And to me, he's one of the more interesting characters. And get into the idea of, I feel like this is more of Donald Glover speaking directly to the audience of how he feels, or however many other black writers are in there. So Earn talked Princeton into giving him an honorary degree. He admits that you won't be able to do anything with it, but it's just the feel of him being able to have that power. And he says the only reason they want him back is for 2 reasons. For 1, being black is valuable. Well, being black is...
You know, I apologized, but it was like no one was listening. It's like no one cared.
What do you think the perception was?
That this big black gorilla came into this white girl's room and just destroyed shit. I don't know.
And finally, we've discovered the mystery of why Earn dropped out or just never graduated from Princeton. So back in the day, he made friends with this one white girl, and they got really cool. It wasn't any type of romantic relationship, but the girl he did have a crush on, they were talking in a study hall, and she invites him to a party a couple hours away. So as they get ready for this party, Earn had just saved up some money he borrowed from his parents. He put his money together, and he got a really nice suit and some loafers for a job interview he had coming up for a job he was really looking forward to. So he goes to the job interview with his crush. He gets back. Oh, the girl that he became friends with, she told him, why don't you just go to the party, and then when you come back, you can just get the suit out of my dorm. So she has the suit. He finally goes to the party. He comes back, and he texts the girl, no response. Texts her again, no response. 3 times. He calls her, and she doesn't answer the phone, and he's blowing her phone up, and finally she just answers the phone like, oh, sorry, I'm not there. So obviously, if you all can understand in real life, you're going to be heated. You like, I need my suit. But Earn was an RA in college, so he had key access to all the dorms. So he goes in there, uses his RA key, gets his suit, and leaves. The next day, they basically are telling him that he invaded her privacy, and he says that they're using language that you would use for someone that committed SA. They're saying an invasion of privacy, all of this stuff, and they're basically making it seem like this big black guy, he invaded this white girl's personal space, he stole something out of there, and all he did was get his suit. And he actually gets expelled for this. And this is the reason why in the beginning of season 1, he's working at the airport selling cell phones or something. He actually got kicked out of Princeton for that.
Hurt by someone you trusted.
Yeah.
like the family member who abused you.
Yeah.
Which made you feel powerless again.
It gets even deeper. So Ern talks about how much this hurt him. He thought the girl Sasha was his friend. He was one of only 12 or so black kids at Princeton, and it made him feel powerless. And the therapist mentions that, so it made you feel powerless like when you were younger and you were abused as a child by a family member. And one of the realest moments of the show, we notice Ern, he begins to tear up. And this is why I feel like Atlanta has the reputation that it does. In 2020's, comedy has kind of changed. I really wouldn't call Atlanta a comedy. It is a comedy first, but it balances the satire, the surrealism. The surrealism is a lot heavier in other episodes. If you all go back to season 4, episode 1 that I covered before this, you'll see it. But it balances all of that, and it makes it feel like real life. So Ern responsible to that was, he used spite to become successful when he came back to Atlanta. We then jump back to a scene with the book lady and her friend at a little cafe or something. And the book lady is telling her friend that she quit her job because she's focusing on this book that she feels like she's about to get signed. All she needs to do is do this reading. She's going to get an agent. She needs to find a stylist and all of this stuff. And her friend is like, you quit your job and you technically didn't even sell the book yet, all over a reading. And the book lady is basically like, so you're not excited for me? She's like, her friend is like, listen, I can't loan you $500 this month. It's really tight. The book lady gets upset and storms out.
When she looks at it, hands it back to me and tells me it's too damaged to travel.
On a domestic flight?
On a domestic flight, that's exactly what I said. I mean, the pages were worn at best.
Damn.
So we return to a scene with Ern and his therapist about his trip to Princeton. He did accept the honorary degree, so he decided, you know what, I'll go to Princeton. I'm going to take Van. We'll talk about maybe the trip. I'm going to take Van and Lottie, his daughter, and after we leave Princeton, we'll go to Sesame Place. So they're in a rush. He couldn't find his driver's license. He's like, it's probably in my pants or something that I packed. So he brings a passport. It's a domestic flight. So they get to the passport. The gate lady is like, no, your passport, the ink is too light or something like that. I can't read it. So she's not gonna let them on there. So they go talk to another lady. They talk to a black lady at the next ticket gate. And she's like, you know what, let me look at y'all stuff. It's good. They let them through so that they can make the plane. Before they can get on the plane, the lady who was telling Ern that his passport was ineligible, she called TSA and security, and it was a whole thing. So they weren't gonna let him on. So he gets really upset. He's like, you know what, I'm not going. So Van, his whole family, they decide they don't go. So they never go to Princeton. They don't get to go to Sesame Place. Then we just get a few minutes of Ern talking about how this made him feel. And obviously, the lady that wouldn't let him on, she was another Karen. She was a white lady. We don't see any of this happening. It's just Ern explaining. And I say that just because YouTube is acting weird. I don't know how much B-roll I'm going to be able to show you all. But after this, Ern decides that for now, he does want to just end his therapy.
You still can't bring that dog in here.
That's absurd. I work at the airport. This note is legally FAA approved.
Okay. Well, story time begins in 15 minutes. Unless, of course, you and your dog want to try the airport.
We then jump to a scene with the book lady who shows up to the library with her dog, There's a Deborah. You know what? I'm going to just call her Deborah. The white version of a Karen from now on. I'm going to call him a Deborah. There's a black lady working at the library, and she's like, yeah, you're here for the reading, but you can't bring that dog in. The lady looks like someone's aunt. I don't know. She just looks like a Deborah to me. And the book lady is like, oh, no, this is a, whatever it's called, you know, a emotional support animal. And Deborah is like, I don't care what it is. You can't bring that dog in the library. But she's like, see, I got my paperwork from the TSA. They said I can bring this dog. She doesn't let her through. She doesn't let her through with her dog. Eventually, the book lady shows up and starts reading this book about the homeliest little horse. And after a few minutes, the kids are bored and they just start roasting her. They say the horse is ugly. He's farting. The book is boring. Kids are falling asleep. They just all walk out. And the lady that was supposed to sign her, she actually just leaves out. So at this point, the book lady, she's embarrassed. She runs out to her car crying. And we then jump to a scene in a bar with the same scene that we just seen on TVs everywhere with Earn, the people from the library, the person that was supposed to sign her that she had the meeting. It turns out that Earn put on this entire charade. Everything was fake, from Tracy working at the office to the guy who told her he could get her signed, to everybody in the library, to the lady that was supposed to be a publisher. Earn faked it all because the book lady is the same person who ruined his trip to Princeton and his family's trip to Sesame Place. And Darius, Paperboy, and Tracy, they all find this out. Like, man, you still mad about that stuff? That was 2 months ago. And it ends with Earn reflecting like, yeah, I mean, it was pretty expensive, but she ruined my family's trip. And also, she's a racist Karen. The lady at the airport says she does this to all black people all the time. And it ends with him taking a drink and saying like, maybe I should go to therapy. So I feel like this was one of the better episodes of the last couple of seasons. It was written really well. I feel like this is the type of episode you can only write after you have a show that's been successful to 3 to 4 seasons. But yeah, this was my latest Atlanta breakdown. If you like it, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to keep these short, going a little bit hybrid of a script, off script. Until then, I'm out.